My name's Dan Conn. I'm a developer advocate for Sonatype. We're the company that look after Maven, open source, as well as OSS Index, Lift, and we've got a new thing coming out called Bomb Doctor, which is a visualization SBOM tool, which might be quite useful to the community.
Yeah, great. And could you tell me, what is the importance of open source data?
I mean, open source data is incredibly important. You know, it allows us, for example, in our projects to make assumptions based on vulnerabilities, based on threats. You know, without data, you don't really have intelligence, right?
And we've had some recent legislation across Europe with related to data management in terms of data privacy and data security. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges this could cause for organisations?
I think a lot of it is around general security postures. So being able to, one, react to these. Secondly, you know, I think one of the particular things that came out with the EU was incredibly restrictive. You know, putting the onus on open source developers. Or I'm glad that they're looking. It sounds like to be moving back from that.
Yeah.
But you know, I think legislation, if it's not very well thought out, could cause huge problems in the actual practice of running it. You can have, and it's quite impossible for anyone to really think of everything off the top of their head, right? So I guess that's where tools will help in that sense to hopefully take away that burden. Certainly, that's what Sonatype will be doing in the future. But yeah, it's like that's the biggest problem is just keeping up with legislation, trying to find good legislation that's thought about well. And hopefully then we can go from there.
Yeah, and moving on from that, what sort of future trends do you think will emerge within open source data?
Within open source data itself, I think it looks like it's going like there are a lot of collaborative efforts. There's the OpenSSF, BCS actually, British Computer Society, is actually doing immense work with cybersecurity at the moment, and in turn sharing data between them. I know that there's quite a lot of threat intelligence data that's also shared in that sense. That some of it can't be fully open source. Because just you can't talk about it, but it's open within the space that it can be, and I think that the more and more data that can be shared, it's just I think a lot more collaboration will happen in the future and help with that.
Yeah, cool. And final question: what is your big tech prediction for 2023?
There are so many things. Like you got the start of quantum computing, which is you're starting to get to 1,000 qubits right now, which is really interesting. You're finding year on year, we're certainly finding with the 8th annual supply chain report from Sonatype that 742% of supply chain vulnerabilities were found since 2019. So that's just going to shoot through the roof, probably even more. Hopefully, the big prediction would be that something stops that. That people will start working more collaboratively. That we start using more open source tools that are provided already, and that more and more kind of open source groups kind of can use those and take them on board, really.
For more tech news, visit em360tech.com.